All right, today we're diving into one of the most important legal documents in, well, maybe all of world history. We're talking about ancient Rome's very first written legal code, the Law of the 12 Tables.
I mean, really, imagine that. You get arrested, and you have no idea what law you've broken. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, for most people in early Rome, this was just reality. The laws weren't written down anywhere. They were all just based on custom and, get this, kept secret by the powerful. Justice was basically whatever the elite decided it was that morning.
So, let's break this down. What was this system really like? And why was it so incredibly unfair for almost everyone living in Rome?
You see, Roman society was split right down the middle. On one side, you had the Patricians. These were the rich, powerful, elite families who, let's be honest, held all the cards. They were the priests, the judges, they made all the legal calls. And then there was everyone else, the plebeians, the common folk, and they were stuck in this system where the rules could change on a whim, simply because nothing was written down.
And here's the real kicker. When the laws are just secret customs that only the ruling class knows, there's absolutely nothing to stop them from abusing that power, right? A magistrate could twist the law to help his buddies or punish his enemies. For the average plebeian, it just meant you never knew where you stood. It was a life of constant uncertainty and, frankly, total injustice.
Okay, so a system like that can only last for so long before people get fed up. And that's exactly what happened. The plebeians, well, they'd had enough of being at the mercy of the rich and powerful. They started to demand something radical.
And this is the turning point, you guys. Their demand was so simple, but it was absolutely revolutionary for the time. What did they want? They wanted the laws written down. That's it. Put them out in public for everyone to see. They knew that if the law was written down, it would be a single standard for everyone, from the poorest farmer all the way up to the most powerful official. This was a fight for transparency, a fight for accountability.
Now, this didn't just happen overnight. It was a process. In 451 BC, Rome put together a special committee of 10 guys, they were called the Decemviri, to get this done. They came up with the first 10 tables or sections. The next year, a new group added 2 more, finishing the job. And then, finally, the complete law of the 12 tables was etched into bronze tablets and put up in the middle of the city for every single person to see.
This was a game changer. I mean, a total game changer. By putting those laws out there in the public square, Rome literally transformed justice from a secret held by the few into a public promise for all. Sure, you couldn't pretend you didn't know the law anymore, but the bigger deal was that a magistrate couldn't just make it up on the spot. The law was now solid, it was visible, and for the very first time, it actually belonged to the people.
So the big question is, what did these famous laws actually say? Well, let's just say some of them are going to sound pretty wild to our modern ears. Let's take a look at a few examples, and you'll see what I mean. First up, we have this concept called pater familias. Okay, so this basically means the father of the family was the absolute ruler of the household. And when I say absolute, I mean it. The law gave him the power of life and death over his own children. He could punish them, he could even sell them into slavery. His authority was almost total. It really gives you a glimpse into just how strict Roman family life was. And it wasn't just family life. The rules about debt were just as intense. If you owed somebody money and you couldn't pay it back within 30 days, well, your creditor could haul you into court. And the punishment? You could be forced into slavery, literally becoming the property of the person you owed. Yeah, not a lot of second chances in ancient Rome.
And when it came to actual crimes, the punishments were, direct and pretty brutal. A lot of eye for an eye kind of justice. Take arson, for example. If you intentionally burned down someone's house or their crops, you weren't getting a fine or some jail time. Nope. The penalty was death. The law was definitely designed to make you think twice.
And these laws got into every little corner of life, even how you were allowed to grieve. Seriously, Table 10 had specific rules for funerals. You weren't allowed to show off by using too much gold. And get this, big public displays of mourning were limited. Women were actually forbidden from wailing too loudly or scratching their cheeks in grief, which was a common practice. The state was literally telling people how to feel. Wild.
So yeah, the laws were strict, sometimes downright bizarre, but you absolutely cannot deny their impact. They cast a shadow that was so long, it ended up shaping the future of law for centuries to come. Here's the ironic part, though. Those original bronze tablets, they were probably destroyed when the Gauls sacked Rome back in 390 BC. But, and this is the amazing part, the laws themselves didn't vanish.
Why? Because students had memorized them, and writers like Cicero had recorded them. So you could melt down the bronze, but you couldn't erase the idea. The principles were already forged into the very culture of Rome.
So why are we still talking about this ancient legal code today? What's the big deal? Well, it's because the 12 tables became the bedrock for all of Roman law that followed. They laid down these massive, crucial ideas that laws should be written down, that they should be public, and that they should apply to everyone equally. And that legacy? It echoes all the way down to the legal systems many of us live under today.
But let's be real here. It was far from a perfect system. As we saw, the punishments could be extremely harsh. The rules were super strict, with almost no wiggle room. And as Rome grew from a city into this huge, sprawling empire, a simple code like this just wasn't enough to deal with all the complex problems that came up.
When you boil it all down, the 12 tables were so much more than just a list of rules. They stood for a massive idea that justice shouldn't be a secret weapon wielded by the powerful, but a public tool available to everyone. The bronze itself is long gone, but that core principle, that the law must belong to the people, that's a legacy worth remembering. And it's a question that's still worth asking, even today.